Go.
Hi Dad, it's Jeff and Marlena of course, and we're just so happy to be a part of this tribute to you at Bass Lake. I would just like to say it's been a blessing and a privilege to be your son, and what a blessing that you've been to me throughout my life, the example that you've been to me, the places you've taken me and all of us kids. Our experience in Venezuela is, I think, priceless in our lives, and to live in so many places, including Washington, D.C., and to have gone to so many places like World's Fairs and places you've taken us to see so we could see the world. Grateful for the time you spent with me as a young man hiking or on horses in the high Sierras, and many other occasions. I would like to thank you for your example as a priesthood holder. I'm so grateful, as I've mentioned before, that you served a mission for the Lord and began a heritage that has blessed all of our families and has blessed our family. I love you, Dad, and grateful for your example, and pray the Lord's blessings to be with you, and grateful to be a part of this tribute. Thanks, Dad.
And I'd just like to say happy 84th birthday. What a great thing to have lived to a point where you can look back and see all the things you've been able to enjoy as you look at your family. It's fun for me to be here at Bass Lake again. This is where it all started for Jeff and I remember being here with you and Helen, and how much fun we've had over the years. It's just been really a great experience for us, and thanks for all of your blessings to our family.
Thanks, Dad, and I love you.
Hi, Grandpa. We're here because we love you, and we want to talk about all the many wonderful things you have done for us. I know that every time I see you, I say, Grandpa, do you see all these people here, and do you see all the things they're doing? All of this is your fault. Just remember that. And he says, well, no, it's not all my fault. I said, Grandma Helen had something to do with that, too. And I said, well, you both caused all this trouble. And then I always show him all the beautiful people in our lives that he has had everything to do with, because if he wasn't here, he wouldn't be here. And he's made our life beautiful, and he's influenced in so many beautiful ways, and having him in our home has been just an incredible privilege and honor. It's just a joy and a delight to have him in our home, and we've just been so blessed to have him here.
Well, I remember that we clearly have different political views, but we always have great discussions about our common ground and our not common ground, and it's always pleasant and illuminating, as opposed to how it could be if Grandpa wasn't so great about it. Also, I remember him teaching me how to play tennis when we were much younger, and how in those first years he would just dust me so badly in tennis, but be real patient with the way I would play, and just keep playing with me until I could actually hold my own. But one experience really stands out over the years, and it's just a simple thing. I remember when we were living in our very first house, which was this little old polygamous house down on 5th West in Provo. I remember that he came and visited us, and he did a couple of things that I remember that just showed so much love to us. One was that he had gotten an expense check from somebody for whom he was doing some work, and he just signed it over to us and said, here, just put it in your bank and pay for groceries. And I'm not even sure he knew how desperate we were for groceries at the time, but he was always so generous when he could be that way. And the other thing had even more impact, is that we had a little room that wasn't insulated, and we had a little old bed, and when he came to stay with us, we had moved the mattress into the other room that was warm, and we were going to stay in the uninsulated room in the middle of winter on the box springs. And so we were getting ready, and we came out, and the first thing we knew was that he was under the covers in the uninsulated room in the box springs, and he said, I am not moving, and you are sleeping in the warm room on the mattress. And but when Karen went off to do something, he said, it's just so obvious that you're as happy as any two people could be. And I remember feeling so great that he had expressed that kind of confidence in me as a son-in-law, being able to make his daughter happy, and it meant the world to me when he said that. So here in these decades later, it's such a privilege to have you in our home, Dean, and it's great to have you with us and being able to see the kids as they grow, and all of my kids have just thought the world of you.
I wanted to mention one thing that's one of my favorite things that my dad's ever told me, and it was life-changing. I was 16 years old, and I was trying to make lots of decisions about life, and he said, Karen, you have right and wrong down. You pretty much have that, it's okay to have that in your life. But he said, you don't have right and right figured out. He said, a lot of times when you make a decision, you need to look at things that are both good and pick the one that makes you the happiest. And the one that makes you the happiest will be the right one, not the one that always it doesn't always have to make, you don't always have to struggle or feel like you have to go the difficult route. A lot of times if you've already got two really nice things in front of you, just pick the one that makes you happy. And it's changed my whole life because I've chosen happiness. And that helped me a lot. And one of my other favorite things that Dad does is when he walks into a room over the years and he says, here I am in all my glory. And I think if all of us could wake up every day and feel like God made us glorious, and it is our chance to do all we can to be all that God intended us to be and bless other people's lives by the glory within each one of us. So I think that statement that we loved has had a deep impact on me. I'm releasing who I was and feeling like I had the freedom to be able to do that. And that was a great gift.
Happy birthday, Grandpa.
Happy birthday, Grandpa. We love you. I love you, Daddy. I love you so much.
Oh, hello. Well, here I am at Grandpa Dean Mann's favorite spot, out here at the lake on his favorite bench, and I'm reading some of the very best information, the Choices magazine that's here at the Visalia Times-Delta. Well, everyone in our town reads this first, Dean Mann's eminent writings on book reviews. Let's see what you have. Oh, why the Republicans always have it right. Yep, always a conservative bent with Grandpa in here. And always once in a while a little bit of sizzle. Here's a book review. Hot Pants Holiday. Whoa, Grandpa, a little bit of sizzle here coming right off the pages here of your reviews. Well, Dad, it's always been wonderful to have you here in Visalia, walking around in the park, enjoying this location. Dad would sit for hours here with his favorite book and read. Also, he would sit and contemplate upon his victories here in the local politics. He was very involved, wouldn't you say, Lisa?
Well, he was very involved.
Environmental affairs, you know, and just always a tree hugging and doing good things, but sometimes his efforts went awry.
Well, what's funny is that it's kind of hard living with somebody famous like Lindsay, because everyone in the community knows him and realizes what he does, and everywhere he goes people recognize him. But it was interesting because when Dean moved into our home and I would be out in the community previous to him coming, said, oh, are you related to Lindsay Mann? And I'd have to say yes, I'm his wife. And then very shortly after Grandpa lived with us, I would be out in the community and someone would say, oh, do you know Dean Mann? And I'd say yes.
I was toast. From then on, it was always Joe's second class.
That's my father-in-law. So I lived with two famous men for quite a while, Dean and Lindsay. In fact, a funny thing that happened was that Cuya Delta had built a new wing with a new emergency room, and this emergency room was on a street that they were gonna that they didn't want to have bike lanes on because of the ambulances and all the heavy traffic that Lindsay felt, and actually went to the community and said, I don't believe we should have bike lanes on this street because of all the emergency vehicles.
I
and
hate
extra
bikers
traffic.
and bike lanes.
He
Those
doesn't
guys,
really,
forget
he
them.
doesn't. He likes them, but the problem is the environmental committee went to Dean and said, what do you think? Don't you think that we should be encouraging bike lanes throughout Visalia so that people would become biking and not driving their cars like Suburbans around town? Which
Dad
Grandpa-
always showed up to the environmental committee in his Suburban.
His great big Suburban. So that was funny. So anyway, so they picked Grandpa as their poster child to go to the Visalia City Council on the night when they were having a public forum on this street. Should we allow bike lanes or not? So he goes and makes his impassioned plea and telling why they should have bike lanes. And when it came time to the vote, yes, they voted for Grandpa that they should establish bike lanes against Dad, who said they shouldn't. And then
I was toast again.
And then he said at the end of his comments before the whole city council and all the people there, but don't tell my son, Lindsay, that I said so.
And the next day in the Times Delta comes out this article, and Dean goes against Lindsay and wins. And by the way, he said, but don't tell my son, he might be upset.
Yeah.
So Dad's here in Visalia working his son over, making sure that the gente in this community are reasonably well read here, and we are very pleased to have Grandpa here doing such a fabulous job. Well, Grandpa, I'd say the short of all of this is that we love you.
We love you, Grandpa.
You're a fabulous grandfather, dad, professor, husband, all-around cool guy. What more can we say? Andrea, would you agree?
Hi, Dad. The thing that I remember, so many things I remember, of course, growing up in your home. But one of my special memories is that you would always write these great poems for people either moving or they're roasting somebody, and you would write these poems for people. And you decided to write them to the tune of Puff the Magic Dragon. And you would have me by your side playing Puff the Magic Dragon. I guess I would sing the chorus with you, and you'd have everybody, I guess, break into the chorus. But I just remember that being something special. And again, anytime anyone came to visit, it didn't matter what friend it was, you would drag me in and make me perform and sing for them the guitar. But so I have written a couple of lines, and I'm hoping to add this, so maybe at Bass Lake Talent Show I'll have a bunch of this together. So I'm just going to sing you the few little verses I wrote to your song Puff the Magic Dragon, but with a couple of my words in there. So. He's the greatest father, 7 children claimed him so, 39 grandkids and 14 great, and the number grows and grows. Turning the page, sorry I don't have it memorized. Entertaining friends and family, my parents love to do. Our home was always open to all who were always passing through. Dad would write great poems for special people in his life and sing them to this very tune. Mr. Rumman by his side. That's all I have for now. I have a bunch else written, but it's a mess. So anyway, I love you, Dad, and just thought I would write that for you. Love you.
One of the first stories I like to tell about Dean is that he wasn't even there, but had an influence on my life. And this is when I went on my first date with Kim. Things were okay. She did fall asleep. But the thing that I will never forget is as I was trying to decide whether, maybe I was going to ask on a second date. I kind of knew I was going to. But she told me that her father was this liberal political science professor in Santa Barbara. That sealed it. I for sure was going to check out this a little bit more. And of course, that was a huge influence in marrying Kim. But another thing that I remember about Dean is that when I'm first being introduced to the family, everybody was really into tennis. And I had never played tennis before. And I look back now, this was 20 years ago, so Dean was like 65 years old. whooped me in tennis, you know. I'm like, you know, I was like 29, maybe 30, and he would absolutely whoop me in tennis. But there were all these little things about tennis, because I'd never played before, that I didn't have any idea about. And one of the things that just really struck me as unusual, but I thought, okay, that must be the way it is. Every time we'd go play tennis, we had to play with new tennis balls. So we always had to go to the store and buy new tennis balls whenever we would play tennis. So I thought, oh, you know, what do you do with tennis balls after you play with them one time? And you throw them away? Do you give them to your dog? I didn't know, because every time we would get new tennis balls. We don't get new tennis balls every time we play now. The other thing that I could think about, Dean, that I could think of is every time we'd go visit, I was always looking for things to read. And sure enough, I would always find the New Yorker there. I subscribed to the New Yorker, and so finding the New Yorker there on summer vacation or long extended stays was such a treat. But not only on top of the New Yorker, which I just love to read, he had all of these liberal magazines like Mother Jones and Planet Earth, and I don't even remember some of the names of them, but some real liberal articles that I normally wouldn't read. So those are some of my memories of Dean.
Whenever Dad comes to Washington, one of our favorite things to do with him is to take him to Pike Place Market. So today we're going as a family to visit Pike Place Market and bring some of the sights and sounds of Pike Place to share with all of you. Hope you enjoy it.
Is that tall? That is tall. Oh well. That's awesome.
That's crazy. Some of the artwork hanging in our home came right here from Pike Place Market, and Dad bought it for us, and we have it hung in our walls today, and we love them. There's one right there.
Bryce, show that to us. Yeah, that's the one right there.
Every time we came to Pike Place Market with Dad, he would always buy us a beautiful bouquet of flowers to have in our home. And that's one of the memories that we have coming here with him.
Hi, Grandpa. You always encouraged us to try new things, and one of my best memories is when you bought me an ocarina. I've been using it and practicing, and I just want to say thank you, Grandpa.
Hold it down just look right here, say hi, Grandpa.
Say hi, Grandpa.
We love you.
We love you.
Hi, Grandpa.
We love you, Grandpa, from your oldest grandson and his family to one of your newest great-grandchildren, I guess. We sure love you. Aww, kisses.
We love you, Grandpa.
So, I wanted to take just a moment and maybe tell you a little bit about my grandfather and the impact that he's had on my life. Certainly with his grandkids, I think we all know that he's always taken an interest in what we're doing, and you know, we've all been able to feel that love and that affection. And you know, it's always a funny little joke that we make, because I always tell Grandpa that, you know, even though none of his kids took after him when it comes to politics and any kind of views on the world, I think maybe it just skips a generation, because some of us have some things in common with the way that he thinks about the world, if not all the way what he thinks. But anyway, I just can think of a lot of examples of how he was interested in our lives. But one specific example comes to my mind, and I've kept this for ever since I was in high school. So this is, you know, 20 years ago though. 20 years ago, I got a letter from my grandfather. I was going through a period of time in high school where I probably wasn't applying myself as well as I could have. And, you know, for whatever reason, Grandpa took the opportunity to write me this letter, and I'll just read a couple of excerpts from it. He says that, I just wanted to let you know how important I think your education is, and to encourage you to redouble your efforts. Every effort you make now will pay big dividends
in your future in terms of your preparation for your future occupation as well as your enjoyment of life. At least that has been my experience. Learning facts and skills is important, as is important to partake fully of the opportunities that are afforded you. He goes on to say, your grandmother and I are very proud of you and your accomplishments thus far. You're an intelligent, thoughtful, and enjoyable grandson. Love, Grandpa. You know, this is the kind of personal attention that our grandfather would give to all of us as we grew up. And he cared a lot about how we did and how we approached life. And I feel like these kinds of moments had an impact on all of us, and it definitely had an impact on me and on how I approached the rest of my schooling throughout my life. And I'm grateful for him for that, and I really do love him, and I know that he cares and loves all of us. So there you go.
Hi Grandpa, happy birthday. I had a hard time thinking of what memory to share, so I think I'll just share one of my favorite things. One of my favorite things about you is that we share so many things that we love in common. That we love to read, and we love politics, and we love writing. I brag to all my friends that my grandpa has given me great works of literature to read, but he is also the one who gave me Bridget Jones' Diary to read after he had finished reading it. You've also been so encouraging of me in my writing, which I really appreciate, and has made me believe in myself in that particular talent I'm trying to develop. And I remember that particular encouragement one Thanksgiving resulted in an homage to mashed potatoes in honor of Aunt Lisa, which I'm sure she greatly appreciated and even more appreciates me bringing up. Sorry, Aunt Lisa. But I think one of my most favorite things has been this last year when we've had the opportunity to be housemates and to go to movies together and out to lunch together and cruise through the farmers markets in Santa Barbara. And even though I am the single worst wheelchair driver in the world, you put up with me, and I love you so much. Thanks. Happy birthday.
Hi family, this is Jennifer. I'm Grandpa Dean's third born grandchild after Grant, Darcy, and Jimmy, and I have to go on record as saying probably his favorite. I just wanted to share one of my favorite memories about Grandpa Dean. I was probably somewhere between 8 and 10, I can't remember exactly, but he was on a long car trip with us, and I'm not sure what short straw he drew that he was in the Jeff and Mann family station wagon in the way back with many small children, but he was on a long car trip with us, and he and I were in the way back and in the seat that goes in the trunk that faces the wrong direction, and we were getting antsy. It had been a long trip and it was late and we were tired, and Grandpa took the time to teach us a song, and the song that he taught us was Waltzing Matilda. And every time I hear that song at Bass Lake or at a family gathering, it always takes me back to that car trip and the time that Grandpa taught us Waltzing Matilda.
Hey Grandpa, happy birthday. It's Jim. Hey, I just wanted to say hi. I know you probably have a lot of content on this video, but I was just talking to Darce about the old days when you used to beat me in basketball. But I remember the day that you let me beat you, and I appreciate that because it clicked that, you know, that maybe I could stand up against an adult. But I appreciate you playing tennis to the age that you did, because you inspired me. I actually just took tennis lessons, and so those are some of the memories I have, and I see you as like kind of the model grandpa, and I wish I could be there hanging out with all you guys, and so happy birthday.
Dean Mann, the legend, means to me that it reminds me of how Grandpa really is a legend. And even tonight I was talking at a get-together and mentioned Grandpa in detail about how he's very involved in the community and involved with politics and in making a difference. And that's something that I've learned. One thing that I've learned from Grandpa is that I can make a difference in the community and in the world, and he really has, and he's made a huge impact on our family community. And we always tease him that this is all his fault, all this craziness, it's all your fault. And we love it. We love that you created this, Grandpa, that you created this for us. And I also love that you love us and you love Grandma, and that you always showed great love for Grandma. And anytime any of us would, well, I just remember that I had been hanging out with Grandma for a little bit and just talking to her, and we drove up to Bass Lake together, and you were asking about how she was, and you were so appreciative for the time that I spent with Grandma, and it showed me how much you just care for her so much, and that love that you have for her spreads throughout all of us, to all of us, and between all of us. And thank you for that. I love you.
So, I have a lot of memories of our grandpa. Sweet, sweet man that he is. From a young age, I loved to go fishing. And as I got older, didn't really enjoy it as much, I guess, but I remember going to Ensign Ranch when we were like really little, and there was a pond there, and I caught like, I don't know, 5 or so rainbow trout, and didn't do anything with them. I let them sit in my tackle box, and they died and stunk to high heavens. I know. But I can even remember being younger than that, and Grandpa taking me to the Goleta Beach Pier, and probably sitting there with me for probably 2.5, 3 hours, I don't know how long, and I caught one fish. I mean, to me, it was all about is how far I could cast my line and maybe get lucky if I caught something. But we caught one fish, we took it home, put it in the freezer, didn't know what to do with it, and squeezed some babies out of it later, which was kind of funny. But that memory is sort of etched into you know, my brain and my memory of Grandpa, because I think it represents you know, his dedication and his love, not only for me but for all of his grandchildren. I really feel like he loved each and every one of us and cared for us and went out of his way to spend time with us. I mean, he may not have enjoyed fishing at all. In fact, I don't think he knew, you know, how to cast the pole any better than I did, I'll be honest. But it didn't matter. I look back on that memory and realized that, you know, he just wanted to spend some time with me. And, you know, that to him was more valuable than knowing how to fish. And I really appreciate that. And Grandpa, I just wanted to let you know I'm grateful for the example you set for all of us. I'm grateful for your love, and so thankful for everything that you've done for me and our family. And I can speak for Tara too. I know that she loves and adores you as well.
Thank you for raising a good grandson.
Love you, Grandpa.
Love you.
We love you, Grandpa Dean.
One more time. Ready? 1, 2, 1. Okay.
We love you, Grandpa Dean.
Okay, what do you guys like about Grandpa Dean?
I don't know. That he's super old. Hug him!
You want to hug him? Henry, what do you like about Grandpa Dean? Do you love him? Can you say thank you for the turtle for Christmas?
Thank you for the turtle for Christmas. What turtle?
What do you think's a great
hard
thing?
turtle.
What's a great thing about Grandpa Dean?
Playing with him.
Yeah.
Playing.
Yeah, playing with Grandpa Dean's fun, huh? What do you like about Grandpa Dean, Sammy? You like playing? Or you like hugging him, Lipke? Henry, what do you like about Grandpa Dean?
Check out the forest.
Check out the forest. I love you, Grandpa Dean. I have two favorite memories of me and you together. When I was little and you'd come visit in Fremont, you'd always swim laps in the pool, and you'd let me swim on or be on your back when you were swimming. And I didn't realize how hard that was until I tried doing that with my own kids and almost drowned. And also when we got to dance at my wedding, that's one of my favorite cherished memories of us. And I just want to tell you how much I love you and appreciate everything you do for me and my family, and what an amazing example you've been to us, and having 4 kids in grad school just like us. And I hope that our family turns out half as great as yours, and that we can be as good of parents and grandparents that you were to us. So.
Okay. Well, someday I hope to be a professor just like Grandpa Dean. He's my idol.
Hi, Grandpa. Love you. Well, we had a couple things we wanted to say about you. We were talking about it, and we both remember this really great thing you used to do with us when we were little. Talk about the swimming. More later. Oh, so we remember going to the faculty club and how we would go there all the time, and then you would swim with us on your back and go into the water, and it was always really fun, and you were always very fun playing with us. And so we just remember always doing that with you.
And I think when I envision you as a child growing up all through my years, I would always see you with Grandma and see you dancing with her, kissing her, and no matter if you were in a disagreement or whatever, you guys were always kissing, and I always knew that you were so madly in love. And I think you are the perfect example of how people should love and be loved, because your whole life has been dedicated to your family and your children and your wife, and it has been so clear to us our whole lives that we have learned from you, and it has affected all of our lives. I think just seeing you live and breathe for your family. So we love you. Happy birthday.
Happy Grandpa's life. We just love you.
You're everything to us.
Yes,
Thank
you
you
are.
for raising our parents.
Yeah, you've given us pretty much everything that could ever matter. Yes, thank you. That was nice. We love you anyways, and thank you so much for everything you've done for us.
I think that when I was a child, I didn't realize this, but I got really lucky because Grandpa only lived, less than a few miles away, and we would always ride our bikes over to Grandma and Grandpa's house, and we got to spend a lot of time with them growing up as kids. And I think that I got to spend a lot of time with Grandpa, and he taught me a lot of things that I still do to this day that I love doing. And for instance, Denise and I are taking tennis lessons, and I was telling her the other day, I think I remember as a child Grandpa taking me to play tennis, and that's probably what initially sparked my interest in playing tennis, because he always took me to play. And when I was in grade school, whenever we had to write essays about somebody that we admired, I remember them always being about Grandpa, because all of us kids wanted to be like Grandpa. He was intelligent, is intelligent, and just a wonderful person that everybody wants to be like, because he has so much to offer everybody else. And I just feel like there's a lot of him that has become a part of me. Another instance is that I like to swim. Grandpa always took us to the faculty club. We always went to the Cathedral Oaks Club, went swimming all the time. And I love swimming to this day, probably because of him. And in turn, my parents have always encouraged us to do those same things. And there's just so much about Grandpa that is a part of all of us kids that we will always love.
I remember one time I went to visit Grandpa, and in the morning he asked if I wanted Munchie Crunchies, and I said, no, I'll just have some cereal. And I realized I hadn't visited Grandpa's house for a while, and I had forgotten some of the terminology. To make things worse, after I was done with the cereal, I put the bowl in the sink without drinking the milk, and he looked at me like I wasn't his posterity. Like, do you not know my rules? Like, come on, man. And so I always made sure to drink the milk after that.
I remember Grandpa Dean when I was little and we were on a road trip back home to Oregon with you, and you almost told me I couldn't come back to Grandma and Grandpa's with you because I tooted in the car, and you hate when people toot in the car. I always got kicked out, and I was a 12-year-old, and I was scared of you. Love you, Grandpa. Hello, Grandpa Dean. I have a memory of you. Well, I met you before. I remember when I was interested in your grandson, and I won't tell you which one, but I remember coming up to you and telling you that I knew your grandson, and you said, and I think you didn't remember which one I was talking about, like you didn't know who he was, and you said, it's okay, I don't need to remember all their names, there's so many of them, but I'll remember your name. And I thought it was really nice of you, and then I think you still remember my name, and thank you for that. And then thank you for coming to my wedding, and I love you, bye.
So my favorite part about Grandpa is when I was little, he always used to read to me, and every time I would go, my favorite story to read was Horton. Horton, and then, because he sits on the egg, and every time I'd come, he had this big book for me. It was all full, you know, just for me, all full of Dr. Seuss, and that was what we always read. The Horton Hears the Who. That's it. I love you, Grandpa.
I just know that Grandpa would cause big issues for me if I ever mistreat Kendra. So I always have to remember that because she's the best.
Okay, it's good to know.
We love you, Grandpa!
Oh, hello. Hey, dude. What's up, guy? Anyways, yeah, I'm just riding my bike home from work. I'm driving here through Golden Gate Park. It's a typical day in the San Francisco. And just wanted to add to this video compilation and add my few thoughts. I was thinking about how cool it's been that I remember growing up and playing tennis with you and my dad and the cousins growing up, and how that's turned into a real tradition and something I've loved and still play tennis regularly, and I just want to say thanks for that. And kind of cool is, you know, riding here through San Francisco, you know, on the bay is behind me a little ways, kind of where you served our country, also very cool. Check it out, passing some people. They're so slow. What up? They don't even know. I get stoked on that every day leaving work. Usually I'm passing bikes, sometimes chicks, whatever, no big deal. Anyways, tennis, thought it was very cool. You served our country, single-handedly fought off everybody, and proud of you for that. Anyways, just want to say love you, Grandpa, and stoked to spend the week with you at Bass Lake. Alright, ciao.
Hi, Grandpa. I just wanted to say for a moment that I love you very much, and I admire you for so very many things, but especially your temperance, and how kind you are, and how humble you are. I'm so very thankful for the righteous decisions that you have made throughout your entire life. I'm so thankful that you decided to go on a mission and be married in the temple and to be a righteous priesthood holder and to raise your family in the gospel. I'm so thankful that you raised my father. The blessings of your righteousness have proven to proliferate through the generations, and your effect on the world for good has been great, especially through the lives of your righteous posterity. And I'm so very thankful for the example you are to me and for the great grandpa that you've always been. And again, I love you very, very, very much.
I remember that every time he came into the room, he here I am in all my glory. Like, I don't know, something like that. He'd do it all good, and I don't know, he was better at doing it. Yeah. I like to swim at their house because they've got a pool and everything like that, and Grandpa would come into the pool. But
Hello! We love Grandpa so much. We love having him in our home. We're the luckiest because he gets to live with us. Sorry, everybody. But it's such a privilege to have him in our home and the funnest. The other day we went and got C's candy and Slurpees, and then all came back and gathered on his bed and ate all the sweets, and we ate all this chocolate and ate the Slurpees, and afterwards felt like we were gonna die, but it's fine. We enjoy all the sugar, and it was just great and super fun, and we just like chatted for a while, and then yeah, it's just cozy. It's always cozy time with Grandpa, always cozy.
And I'm really glad to have Grandpa with us. He always comes. During the sports seasons like basketball and football, he'd always come and come support me, even if he didn't really support me playing football, but he'd still come to my games and cheer me on. and he'd come to mine and Taylor's basketball games and stuff. And one thing I always loved doing is every single night we'd go in for family prayer into his room, and it's just really nice to be able to chill with Grandpa at the end of each day before we go to bed and stuff. And so it's nice to have him around.
I'm glad that Grandpa gets to live with us because he's just cool to be around, and he always jokes around with me, and I think he's really cool.
And he always wants to know how our day went, and always is checking in, making sure we're happy and everything's going great, and just always makes us feel so loved. And we love Grandpa so
Best
much.
Grandpa
and he's
ever.
the best.
Love Grandpa.
Number one. Woo woo! You win. Love you, Grandpa.
Okay, I remember Grandpa, whenever we were watching TV, Grandpa would always get in the way, and he would always, like, say, "What, am I interrupting something?"
Would you do a little dance or something?
Yeah.
What would it look like? Stand up and do it. Stand up. Something like that, huh?
I don't know. Just like a little dance.
Where was this at? Was this at in Visalia?
Whenever he was in his old house, whenever he was whenever he was there.
Probably one of my favorite memories of Grandpa is probably when he came to Washington to visit, and me and him went to this little antique shop that was just a little bit away, and I remember seeing this snow globe there, and it was a fairy snow globe, and I remember loving it so much, but being so disappointed when I couldn't get it for myself. And Grandpa, seeing how much I loved this snow globe, bought it for me and then surprised me the next day when he was leaving. And I just remember feeling so special and so loved, and I love you very much, Grandpa.
Well, I remember that every time I talked to him when we go visit him, he would always be interested in my life and talk about me going swimming and being on the swim team again, because, you know, he likes swimming and likes being interested in my life.
I remember him generally asking what's up with my life, and always asking about grades and school, you know, normal stuff.
What's the funny saying he said that reminds you of Grandpa?
Here I am in all my glory.
When would he say that?
I remember that one time at Easter where someone put the little egg on the chlorine thing, and I remember little Zena jumping into the pool to get it.